Hey, Shawnelle here with another sew bit. Today we're talking about lengthening and shortening your pattern, the pattern pieces before you cut your garment out. This helps if you're kind of under 5'6", let's say 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", kind of zone where you're petite, or anything even under 5'2". Especially if you are, and anything like if you're over, I'd say like 5'7", 5'8", you're in the 5'7", 5'8", and up zone. You want to actually lengthen your pattern. So under 5'4" is considered petite, and on your tissue papers, on your patterns, when you buy a pattern, this is actually a pattern from this skirt pattern. It was just a 6-gore skirt, which means you have to lengthen or shorten each pattern piece. And pattern pieces they look like these are like panels. And right here, it had said adjustment for, what's it say? Adjustment line for Mrs. Petite. So you'll see these kind of lines on some of they're not on every pattern piece, but what it is a place in the middle of the pattern to either lengthen or shorten it. Because if you're petite, you don't just take it off the hems and make it shorter. A petite body is shorter little increments throughout their whole body, not just shorter arms or shorter legs. So and also the same with tall. Your body, everything's in proportion, and sometimes you're long waisted or short waisted, so you're not always equal proportion, but your body is not just tall in the arms and the legs, So right here, they actually make the pattern petite kind of in the middle. Like on a bodice, they might have a petite line going across here, and you petite it or you lengthen it here, or in the middle of the torso, and you do the same. Here's the pattern piece before it was adjusted. It just says adjustment for line for Mrs. Petite. And to shorten it, like this is actually 1 inch up, which is generally, if you're sometimes you can go like a ½ an inch or up to an inch. I don't like to go more than an inch unless and if I'm working with anybody who is like 5'2" or under, I would actually do a whole muslin of it, which is a mock-up copy of the garment, to see where they needed it to be petited a little bit more. It might be more in the shoulder, that kind of thing. But this is just a general. They'll do like a 1 inch. What you do is you just fold this paper, the tissue paper, up, and then you use tape, and you just tape it all the way across like that. And then you might have to blend your seam right here, the side seam or whatever seam it is, and kind of reshape the pattern. I have one pattern, I might be able to show you on another one, show you the difference, how it kind of can really go out of whack. Actually, I'll show you on the next one. But right here, I want to show you on the instructions. It says, so you're going to get your basic instructions. And I also noticed this isn't in every instruction sheet, which was odd. I'll show you another one that I thought it would be in everything. I thought all these are just general, because it says general directions. This says the pattern, so it gives you all the tool, what all these symbols mean. But right here it'll say adjust if needed. It shows you how to adjust for petite. It just says cut a long line, fold it up. So that's to shorten it. To make an even pleat, taking up an amount needed, tape in place. And also it's even pleat, so 1 inch up, fold it 1 inch up. It's sometimes hard to do. I'll actually press the pattern, press a crease in it, and then fold it up and press it, and then tape it. And also don't try to press tape; it melts. So unless you use sometimes I'll do it on the reverse side or use a press cloth. And then to lengthen it, the lengthen looks like this. So I had cut it on right in between that line. You can see I added some tissue paper right here, and then I marked up this one. I marked up 1.5 inches, and then I taped the other piece to it and just evenly put 1.5 inches length in this whole pattern. And I didn't do it on the bottom, I did it in the middle. because I wanted this bottom flare to be the same as what the pattern does. If you added actually 1.5 inches to the bottom, your flare gets bigger, and it actually tends to fit better if it's in the middle of the torso there. So when I'm cutting out a pattern, I always keep, if there's a big scrap of the tissue paper, I always keep a few of those scraps there, because then you just spread the pattern out, tape it to a piece of this. You just, chunk out a piece and then tape it there. So, and I like to use these invisible rulers to measure with it, because then it's nice and even. And then you need tape. And if you get the good tape, that magic tape, you mess up, you can actually pick it up a little bit and pick it up. And then it's also easier when you press it on the wrong side. So, little tip there. Now, this was a pattern that I was looking for. I wanted to see if they, do them in sleeves too, which this was, I thought that I'd probably do it in this sleeve because it's so full. And how do you know if you do need to shorten it? You kind of, this kind of pattern you don't really know, because this one's off the shoulder, but you just put the pattern up to like where you think it would go, where the fold line on that sleeve would go. Because here's the sleeve, this is the sleeve back, so it has a sleeve front and a back, and this is this whole line right here. A lot of people just kind of skip over all these writings on the patterns, but you really should check them out and kind of investigate what's all written on here. It's trying to guide you. So it says lengthen or shorten here. So to lengthen it, I would chop it in half there, tape one side of this to an extra piece of tissue paper, measure down evenly, and then pull this other piece up and tape it there, so you have an equal line to make this a little bit longer. To shorten it, I would press and crease this up 1 inch and then tape it. It's really simple to do that one, but you see how this goes off like that. That freaks out a lot of my students when things don't line up, and of course this isn't going to line up. And even if you lined it, if you went backwards this way, because you could actually press it down, right? It's going to still shorten it. It still doesn't really line up. And there you just take, the pieces right here, and you just either blend it fuller or you blend it, slimmer like that. So whatever you want to do. And then you just redraw the line in there. So that's it. So you'll find your pattern pieces will fit a lot better if you're in the petite zone or the longer zone. I know I always had add 1 inch to my torso. I'm just about 3/4 to 1 inch longer in the torso than a lot of these patterns. And I found that out just because the dress forms, I'd make garments for me on dress form when I was in design school, and then my waist always hit just a little bit, the pattern was always just a little bit too short, so I knew always to add just 1 inch in my torso, and then everything would fit a lot better. So as you get to know how things fit on yourself, you'll get to know it. And when in doubt, always do a muslin of it. Just do it quick. You don't have to do all the facings and all that stuff. Just do the shell of it. Here's another pattern piece here. That's actually, I think of this pattern here, and it has the length right in the middle of the torso, and then on the bottom here, it has different lines. It'll say, cut here for A, B, or C, and then think, well, just add it there, which you can, but it's going to add length to the lower part. And this one says right here for view D, which is this one right here, and it has like a little scalloped hem. It says lengthen or shorten here. So that's like if you really, so it's not so much in your torso, but maybe you want that bottom hem to flare a little bit more. And that's why it says there. So you could also get that same shape and just like, if you really wanted this whole pattern like 4 inches longer, you just cut it here and put 4 inches. Or what I might do to make it a little more evener is put 2 inches here and 2 inches on the bottom. So 2 inches here to blend this out right here is going to really go, it's going to make it a little bit fuller. So check out your patterns and look for that length and shorten line, and think about doing that. Play around with it and see if it makes your garments fit a lot better. See you in the next sew bit.